Today we're going to focus on the literature exam, and I'm going to try and simplify everything for you so that getting top grades is easy. First, we're going to look at the revision and then 3 aspects of essay writing. Let's start with the revision. Now this might sound silly, but when you open your exam paper, every single text that everyone is studying is listed, and about 10% of you will be tempted to answer the wrong question. So it's an easy tip: make sure you find the text you've actually studied. Tactically, I would start with your favourite text on both papers and answer that first, because it's going to give you a feeling of confidence. So what do I actually revise in terms of the content? Well, there's some things you can do in your revision which will directly impact your essays. And by that I mean you will get 100% guarantee that you'll be able to use it no matter what the essay. The first thing is the thesis statement. Don't think of a thesis statement as an introduction. It isn't quite an introduction, it's much more powerful than that. In the thesis statement, you put the author's ideas down. As soon as you start writing about the author's ideas, you're automatically up into at least grade 7. Now, how do I know that's relevant to every question? Well, it's easy. The author's ideas are the same, whether it's a theme question or a character question. The author's still got the same purpose. And so your job is to memorise 2 or 3 things you think the author is up to try and change the reader's thinking, and then you just adapt that, whatever the question, by using the key words of the question. For example, if Macbeth is a cautionary tale warning the nobles not to assassinate King James, well, you can make that relevant to Macbeth, who assassinates him, Lady Macbeth, who encourages Macbeth. If the question's about the witches or the supernatural, they're there to act on Macbeth to commit this regicide. So it's easy to adapt what you think the author's purpose is to the actual question. Which parts of the text give you the author's ideas best? It's always the beginning and the end. When you write about both of them, you know that you can show how they change. The ending in particular is always the final repository of the author's ideas and will match every single question that comes up. Learn your analysis of the quotes of the ending. They have 100% guaranteed likelihood of coming up whatever the question. Now, although the average grade 9 essay has 13 to 15 quotes, the mark scheme does not ask for any quotes. So I would pick 15 to hone in on for each text. But don't worry if you can't remember other quotes during the exam. You will get the marks for making a reference. If you can't get the exact wording of the quote, just say what happens, say what the character is talking about, and then put in your analysis, which is always linked to what? The author's purpose. The marks will be yours. Now, although the examiners want terminology, that doesn't necessarily mean language features. Learn the language features: simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration, sibilance, the stuff that comes up all the time, but you don't get grades for that. You get grades for the explanation about the writer's methods, and you just have to put a name to the method. It could be foreshadowing or contrast, or the author introduces the character now because. So don't get too worried about the language. Just name the method, what the author is doing, you will get the marks. For each text, I'm going to recommend that you work through chronologically. Why? Because the author develops their ideas through the text in the order it's written. So it's easy for you to pick up marks for writing about the author's ideas, but also your brain will remember the story really easily. So in the exam, you won't have to stress about, what do I have to write next? It's just, it'll come up in the story. Your brain will remember it really simply. If you take 12 key moments in every text, jot them down as bullet points, I guarantee you will be able to use at least half of these in your essay, probably more. If you're doing an extract question, you'll be able to take 2 or 3 quotes from the extract and then add some other elements from your chronological order, and it will be easy for you to get enough references to get the AO1 marks for references. The AO1 marks for whole text you're going to get because your references will include the beginning and the end. Bosh, you've dealt with the whole text. Give me the marks, examiner. How will I pick my 15 quotes to learn? Well, obviously, I'm going to pick them from those 12 key moments in the text. That makes it really easy. Because I've chosen key moments, I know those quotes are going to be relevant to nearly every essay, because at the key moments, you've got key characters and key themes. It stands to reason. That's how you chose them as key. The key that unlocks top grades. Now, remembering a quote is nearly useless. It's an inefficient way to revise unless you do this. Write your analysis of the quote, or steal your teacher's analysis, or steal an analysis from my videos or my Substack, or get AI to write the analysis for you, if you're too lazy. Then remember your quote with the analysis, because the analysis can also fit most questions. Right, now let's talk about essay structure. Students ask me all the time, how many paragraphs should I write, sir? The simple answer is the examiner doesn't have any number of paragraphs in mind. They don't care. But there is also an even simpler answer, and it goes like this. Paragraph 1, thesis statement. Paragraphs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are going to be events from the text, the crucial ones that you think are relevant to the question. They will come from that list of 12 that you memorised, and you're going to deal with them in chronological order. We'll talk about the extract in a minute, because we have the conclusion, which takes us to paragraph number 8. So you are now writing 8 paragraphs. 1 is a thesis statement, 1 is a conclusion, and 6 are about the key events. Where will the extract go in the chronology? Yes, so you'll just go through the text and think, well, the extract appears here, so that will be my 4th paragraph. Or it appears here, so it's going to be my 6th paragraph. How many quotes do you need from the extract? 2 or 3 is plenty. If you've got time to find more and you're an English genius, knock yourself out. Do you need to do masses of quote analysis in the essay? No. Quote analysis is AO2, and that is only worth 1/3 of your marks. So don't go overboard on that. 1 or 2 juicy bits of quote analysis is fine. The others, you can just write simple explanations. But you're going to get marks because those are all linked in an argument showing how your character or theme has changed from the beginning to the end. Okay, what sort of skills do you need to practice for essay writing? This first one is the juiciest. It's the most un-English one, but it is a life skill. Write as fast as you can. The quicker you write, the more words you get down on the page. The more words you get down, the more explanations you can write. And it's the explanations that get you the mark. What will the explanations be about? The writer's ideas. Every time you come back to the writer's ideas, those marks are going to accumulate. There are 2 words which are going to fit almost every text you study. The first one fits all of them, and that is society. Every time you write about society, it naturally follows that you'll write about the author's view of the society they were living in. That forces you up into grade 7. I'm not joking. If you look at essays that have been marked by senior examiners, you can actually count the number of times the student uses the word society and then predict the grade. Students up to grade 6 almost never use that word because they almost never think about the author's purpose. They're just locked into analysing quotes. And as I've shown you, that's only a third of the marks. With most text, you will also be able to write about a patriarchal society, a society that privileges men and disadvantages women. Why? Because they were all written at a time when women were discriminated against in one way or another. So it's going to be really simple for you to think about the author's viewpoint. Do they agree with that view of society, that women are inferior and should be deprived of power and influence, or do they disagree? The examiners might have a particular answer in their heads, but that is not what they're giving you marks for. They're giving you marks for considering your interpretation, relating it to what you think the writer was trying to say, and even if they disagree with your view of the writer, you still get the marks. There is a hidden danger of doing this, and that is you take all that juicy context knowledge that you have and you just whap it down into your essay. You might be tempted to write a paragraph about the context. Do not ever do that. Context is only useful to explain the author's view about society. And so think of context as another quote. It's something that you're just going to put in to prove your argument, not to prove you know what was going on at the time. No marks for being knowledgeable, loads of marks for using your bit of knowledge to explain the author's point of view. The best way for you to use your revision now is to watch a video seeing how this applies in an actual grade 9 essay. And luckily, that's what's coming up now.